Tales of Tanorio. Now, this topic is quite sensitive, I think. They have delayed the delay of the delay. And before we get into this topic, I do want to remind everyone to please keep the toxicity to a minimum. I'm going to be as honest as I can be in this video without it coming across as disrespectful to anyone or toxic. I'm gonna try to at least. However, this whole situation is honestly quite confusing. I'm honestly not sure how we even ended up here in the first place. So with that in mind, let's honestly get straight into the video. Now, most of you guys do know Tales of Tanorio was meant to come out on the 17th of February, which right now seems like a long while ago. It was coming out this time. And then on the day of the 17th, we actually found out that the game will not be coming out. It's gonna get delayed because of some really big game-breaking bugs. And honestly, that was understandable. Quite a few people were upset from that, but on the most part, you don't want a game-breaking bug or just bugs in general to completely ruin the release of the game. That would be terrible. We were promised the compensation among other things, but honestly, that doesn't matter. Let's move on to the part that makes everybody a little bit more mad. Now, on the 22nd of February, Utopian actually messaged out, hey guys, the release of Tales of Tanorio will be Friday 8 p.m. GMT, 3 p.m. EST. Yeah, that's it. And everybody actually got excited. We got the delay, the game's coming out. What could possibly go wrong? And then on the Friday of the second release date for Tales of Tanorio, literally a couple of hours before the release was meant to come out, we got a big ping, and that ping read, unfortunately our lead scripter and developer Utopian has been hospitalized last night for an emergency given to him directly by the hospital. This is troubling considering Utopian was nearly finished with an extensive fix that squashed a lot of bugs and ported over the final version of the second gym area. Now, the issue with this is Utopian was sent to the hospital last night or the night beforehand. However, we only received news of this a couple of hours before the release. So naturally, a lot of people were upset and were questioning the legitimacy of the claims that Utopian was sent to the hospital. On top of that, I need you guys to remember one thing. Lucky said in the ping that Utopian nearly finished the extensive fix that squashed a lot of bugs, and he did port over the finalized version of the second gym, which means they actually finished the whole of the second gym area, which should have been finished in my opinion because they didn't work on the third gym area that was meant to be on release. So to my understanding, that would have meant the second gym area was at least near, if not complete. But that doesn't matter. Just remember that the second area is done and Utopian was actually almost finished with everything that led to release. However, he had to get sent to the hospital, so he couldn't finish it. And then Lucky also proceeded to say, once again, for those who didn't read, we physically cannot publish the game until Topia gets back and well from the hospital, which is fine. Topia's in the hospital, he needs time to recover. But from the way the developers, or should I say, from the way the mods are making it look, is that the game has been finished. They were just not able to port over the final finishing touches because Topia was in the hospital. A couple of days later, Topia gives us an update on the situation where he says you cannot port over things from mobile and that the team decided it was best to wait for him to get home from the hospital because without him, even if they do publish the game, bugs that arise during release can't get fixed because Topian wouldn't be around. And remember this one, he talked about not being able to work from a laptop, and all his TOT files, or most of his TOT files, are on a memory stick, and the files in which that were meant to be published would be everything in the finalized version of the second gym and a few fixes. So that memory stick in which Topian is referring to, we are assuming, or at least he made it look like, the finalized version of the game was on that memory stick. Then he proceeds to send a picture of him in the hospital, and then a day or two later he says he's home and he's resting, and most of us want that. We want Utopian to get as much rest as possible so he can come back on top. and finish the game. He did post that he won't be able to give us an exact release date, which is understandable. We want time for him to rest and recuperate, which is all fine. But Topian also said he will give us an update on Tuesday, the 27th of February. Bear in mind, Utopian is British. He has a similar time zone to me. Fast forwarding to the 27th of February, it is almost 11:30 p.m. at night, British Standard Time, which is actually pretty late. But he did as promised, and he gave us an update where he said he's had a fair amount of rest to properly push the rest of the release stuff. And the release stuff, I'm assuming he's referring to the files and the bug fixes, etc. And then he says he's redoing lost content due to the inability to save whilst at the hospital. And then he says, which may be obvious from people seeing me in-game plus studio. Now to that part, I do say, if all the saved files was on the USB, how did you lose saved files on a USB? If it was all saved on that USB, how did the files get lost? That's a genuine question. How did those files that were on that USB you talked about earlier get lost? I'm assuming, or what I would have thought is, before you went into the hospital, you saved what you were working on and then went to the hospital. I don't understand how the files got lost all of a sudden. And then obviously Utopian is still recovering, so we don't expect him to go 100% grind mode. Whilst Utopian's been out of commission, the other developers have been upgrading UI and just making the game look better overall, which is cool. And then Utopian basically says there's not going to be a release date, but it's still going to be on the sooner side, and then said they don't want to have a repeat of the last delay. So that's basically it. Tales of Tanorio got a delay again because there were some files that were missing, and Utopian went to the hospital. Again, Utopian going to the hospital isn't bad, but Utopian is back, and apparently he is still working, not at a quick rate because he doesn't want to make himself fall ill again, but he is still occasionally working. What I do want to say is, I have a genuine question. Please, was the game actually ever ready? We do know the game was ready on the 17th, but there was a big bug issue, which is understandable. Apparently it was ready. Utopian going into the hospital was the next delay on top of that, which again is understandable, but at the same time, he did say he finalized the second gym area and fixed the big bugs that were causing the game to break before. So I was just gonna assume when Utopian got home and got a little bit of rest, all he really needed to do was to finish porting forward the changes and the game would be good and ready to go. But apparently that's not the case. There's still more work being done for some reason. Now, is it you guys have found more bugs in the time that the game has been ready to go for? Or was it the game just never ready in the first place? Because it can't be both, it has to be one of the two, in my opinion. Yes, you can call me naive from the outside looking in, and I don't know what's going on behind the scenes, and that is fair. However, there's been 3 delays in such a short amount of time. One of them was plausible, which is Utopian falling ill. However, you guys have stated multiple times that the game has been ready and the game is in a finished state, and the game breaking bugs that were with the game are now gone. So why do we still have to wait, is the question I want to ask. Now, if the answer to that question was Utopian getting better and he just needs time to heal and recover, I would completely 1,000,000% understand. But from the looks of it, Utopian is well enough to still actually be working. But from what he said and what it looks like, the game still isn't ready for some reason, and that is the questionable. Now, if the developers came forward and just blatantly said, I'm not gonna lie, the game isn't finished, it's not ready, we haven't finished the second gym area, we haven't finished patching out the bugs, even though you guys said you have, so if you said that, that would be a lie. And if you said the second gym area wasn't ready, that would also be a lie. But blatant honesty at this point is better than consistent delay. And I'm not saying this in a way to be toxic or to add fuel to the fire. I'm just saying, was the game ever ready? Was the game actually ever ready? Was the game ever ready? Now, I've seen a lot of toxic comments in the general chat etc. I don't want to say it's justified, but a lot of people do feel like there is some foul play going on behind the scenes because the honesty is just not there. And the transparency, quote unquote, transparency that's being given so far seems really vague and really, even though it's polite, it seems disingenuous because there's a lot being said without anything actually being said. That's what it feels like. There's paragraphs of text, but those paragraphs of text don't contain actual information. If it was a 20-mark exam question, you would only score 4 points out of the 20 because there's just a lot of nothing being said, if that makes any sense. Again, I'm trying to frame myself in a way that's not too toxic here, so I'm trying to hold myself back, and that's why there's a lot of mistakes in what I'm saying, but it just doesn't seem honest. And another thing to this, I'm not adding fuel to the fire, but just for the sake of saying it, the teasers that we've been getting, no offense, kind of do more harm than good, because I feel like the game has been flaunted to kind of be in a ready state, and then the pictures or short videos that were being given are not anything satisfying. It'll be a picture of something we don't care about, or Tanorio holding another Tanorio. It's just like the teasers are doing more harm than good. I don't know how to explain it. I don't know how to put my finger on it, and I don't know how to word it, but the teasers are doing more harm than good in my opinion. There'll be a new teaser and I'll be like, wait, why do I care about this? This is not a teaser, you're just taking the mic, is what I say in my head. If you don't know what taking the mic is, it's like you're just taking the piss, like you're actually just kind of taking advantage of the situation, you know? But yeah, something doesn't seem right somewhere. I'm sorry this turned into a yap session, but I don't know how else to put this without being toxic. I could have made this into an 8-7 minute video, but I wouldn't have been able to. It would have been toxic. It would have been a toxic video. So this was me trying very hard to be respectful at the same time as honest, and I'm so sorry the video took so long. I'm gonna stop talking now. Let me know what you guys think of everything in the comment section down below. I know there are gonna be a bunch of people saying just let them cook, stop being blah blah blah, but you guys do need to understand, if there's people are upset for a reason. Usually the Roblox community is super toxic and there's no way around that, but in this situation there are people that are genuinely upset for a reason. So this is the only time I've ever seen in the history of Roblox games where there's a community that's genuinely frustrated and being toxic, where it's kind of justifiable to a certain extent. But I'm sure the devs are working hard. I don't want to be fuel to the fire, and I don't want to be seen as a problematic problem starter. I'm gonna shut up now. I'm gonna see you guys in the next one. Peace.